So, Dement and Kleitman time. This was all about sleep and why we sleep and how dreams work and when we dream and stuff like that. So, basically, this used an EEG and an electroencephalograph to measure brain activity across, well, near the scalp, well, on the scalp, against the scalp, through the scalp, while people were sleeping to observe brain activity and to see, well, I'll get onto that in a second. Basically, it was meant to be the first study into the an objective way to study dreaming, as opposed to just the sort of dream analysis that you can find around quite a lot these days. But Freud used to do stuff like dream analysis, and in fact, if you look back to Hans, I'm sure Freud's quite strangely analysed some of his dreams. Um, so basically, there were three approaches that they wanted to do. They wanted to look at, will people be more likely to dream if they're woken to rather start again. Will people be more likely to report dreams if they're woken during periods of REM sleep rather than periods of non-REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep? Two, can people accurately estimate how long they've been dreaming? This was actually simplified, but I'll come to that later. And is the direction of eye movement directly correlated to dream content, which is a very interesting little piece of information when we get to it. The participants were 7 adult males and 2 adult females, 5 of whom were studied intensely. Right. In terms of procedure, when participants were woken up, they were woken up by doorbell because it was more ecologically valid. They slept in bed, which is kind of ecologically valid. They weren't allowed to drink caffeine or alcohol because it might affect their sleep patterns, and they want them to report to the lab just before their normal bedtime. So that was ecologically valid. It was like they were just going to sleep on another day, apart from they had like electrodes strapped to their head, or receptors, or yeah, electrodes. Um, Various times the participants were woken by a doorbell. They had to state first. They had to state whether they had been dreaming, and if they had to report the dream content. Um, in terms of the first question, will people be more likely to report their dreams if awakened during rapid eye movement sleep as opposed to non-rapid eye movement sleep? Rapid eye movement sleep. Um, they woke each of the participants up in a slightly different way. Um, give me a moment. Oh yeah, there were 351 awakenings, basically by doorbell. Um, One subject had it in a pattern of 3 REM wakings, then 3 non-REM wakings, and that looped. Others had a random number table, basically dictating when they would be woken up, so they were woken up at random times by the doorbell. One subject had been told that he would only be woken during REM sleep when he was dreaming, basically, but it was a lie, and they woke him randomly as well. And one was actually woken up at the whim of the experimenter. If the experimenter wanted to wake him up, he would wake him up. He or she, I think that. Yeah. For those that were woken during REM sleep, 152 of the awakenings resulted in dreams being recalled. 39 resulted in no recall, as opposed to 11 recalled dreams if woken during non-REM sleep, and 149 no recalls, which is astonishing, really, in terms of what that suggests. It suggests that waking up during REM sleep is easier to report dreams. Um, out of, in terms of question 2, they were woken up after varied periods of REM sleep. This was about being able to estimate how long they'd been in REM sleep or been dreaming. So they were woken up at various points in REM sleep, and they were then asked to say whether they thought they had been asleep for 5 or 15 minutes. Those who had been woken up after 5 minutes of REM sleep got it correct by saying they had woken up after 45 times out of 51. 6 times they got it wrong. And after 15 minutes being woken up, 47 got it correct and 13 got it wrong out of 60, which is a slightly lower proportion. But the thing is, mistakes tend to all be made by the same person in terms of guessing how long they've been asleep for. So that could just be individual differences in that case. The final question was the matching up of eye movement to dream content, and this was an interesting one because I'll read this table because this is really good for stuff you might need in exams. Time of eye movement. Mainly vertical eye movements were observed 3 times. Examples of dream content included standing at the bottom of a cliff and looking up at climbers, climbing ladders and looking up and down, and throwing basketballs at a net. Mainly horizontal eye movements were only recorded once, observed once rather. Watching 2 people throw tomatoes at each other was an example of the dream content. Both vertical and horizontal eye movements tended to be observed most. It was 21 times they observed it. It was looking at close objects, talking to groups, sort of when you would look around in a dream, looking for something, fighting with someone. And then very little or no eye movement was observed 10 times, and that was watching things in the distance, staring at things, driving a car and focusing. Basically, things where you would focus and not move your eyes, resulting in little, or no eye movement in real life. And then basically that's all there is to that one. It's just that people are more likely to report dreams if they're working during periods of REM than non-REM. That they can estimate the duration of their dreams with pretty decent accuracy, and that eye movement during REM tends to correlate to the content of the dream. Thanks.